Meghan Markle's half-sister Samantha Markle isn't backing down without a fight. Through her lawyers from the Ticktin Law Group, she filed a 20-page amended defamation lawsuit on Thursday, April 13, 2023. This is happening while Twitter still trends with hashtag Meghan Markle is a liar, hashtag Meghan Markle is a narcissist, hashtag Meghan Markle is a bully, and hashtag Harry and Meghan are finished. Samantha's case for defamation by injurious falsehood was initially filed last year and was later dismissed 2 weeks ago. See the link to the top right of the screen for my video on why the case was dismissed. However, one of the complaints was dismissed without prejudice, which then allows Samantha to refile an amended complaint within 14 days, which of course she did 2 days ago. I will be reading the most important parts, word for word, and of the filed amended complaint, and try to explain along the way what some of the claims may mean. You're listening to True Lies, Scandals. Thank you for joining me. Before I begin, please click the subscribe button and bell icon right after if you enjoy this content. And do share the channel or follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. True Lies Scandals. Much love and appreciation as always. Here's TLS's disclaimer before I begin. The content read and published here is from a purported copy of the original amended complaint by Samantha Markle filed on April 13, 2023 in the U.S. District Court for the Middle District of Florida. True Lies Scandals believe it is to be a true copy of the original and unaltered document. Viewers should be guided accordingly. Let's turn our attention to the amended defamation complaint for injurious falsehood filed by Samantha in the U.S. District Court for the Middle District of Florida. Case number 8:2-CV-00511-CEH-TGW. Third Amendment for damages by the plaintiff Samantha Markle against the defendant Meghan Markle, the Duchess of Sussex. The complaint has 5 important parts. I'll try to make it an interesting read as much as I can. Those 5 parts are the prefatory statement, factual background, number 3, harm was caused, number 4, defamation count 1, and 5, defamation count 2. First, let me explain what is injurious falsehood. It's a tort or a conduct that amounts to a suable civil wrong. According to McConchy law, the tort of injurious falsehood, also known as trade libel, consists of the malicious publication of a falsehood concerning the plaintiff that leads other persons to act in a manner that causes actual loss, damage, or expense to the plaintiff. Injury to reputation is not a necessary element to this tort. Let's now look at the 5 important parts, or 5 most important parts for this particular podcast of the refiled lawsuit, starting with the prefatory statement. The prefatory statement is essentially a background of the relationship between the 2 women and things that led up to the strained relationship allegations and the lawsuit against Meghan. Prefatory statement starting at item 5 on the amended and refiled document. Meghan is an American actress who achieved success and fame in her own right. However, as fate had it, she met and ultimately married Prince Harry, grandson of Queen Elizabeth of the British Empire and second son of King Charles III. For reasons of her own, Meghan distanced herself and denied familiarity or closeness to her family, including Samantha, who is Meghan's half-sister on their father's side. During their childhood, Meghan was very close to her older sister despite their 17-year-old difference in age. Samantha was more than a model to follow, She was also someone who regularly went with Thomas Markle as he drove Meghan to and from school and acting classes. Among many other things, Samantha helped Meghan with homework, took her on shopping trips to the local mall, and overall had a good to wonderful relationship with her younger sister. Once Meghan started to have success as an actress, she no longer had time for her older sister, Samantha, and by 2016, the two had stopped visiting, though there were no bad feelings between them as far as Samantha knew. Unfortunately, once Meghan met and began dating Prince Harry, Meghan became hostile to Samantha, as well as her half-brother and her father, and Meghan's relationship with Samantha became estranged. The first sign of Meghan's hostility towards Samantha was in 2017, the year when Meghan announced her engagement to Prince Harry. Prior to their engagement, Samantha phoned her sister Meghan from time to time to talk and catch up with Meghan. The defining moment highlighting Meghan's unwarranted hostility towards Samantha occurred when Samantha called Meghan while Meghan was on a break from work at her home in Canada with her mother. When Samantha called Meghan, Meghan hung up the phone immediately upon hearing Samantha's voice. That was strange, as it had never happened before, and so Samantha called back right away and left a message. To this day, Meghan has never returned Samantha's phone call. Following that surprising response to Samantha's phone call, and continuing to the present, Meghan has belligerently attempted to malign Samantha as well as other family members, as it is Meghan's method to terminate friendships rather than save them and for her to become hostile. On May 19, 2018, Meghan married Prince Harry at St. George's Chapel at Windsor Castle in the United Kingdom. Out of Meghan's entire immediate and extended family, only her mother, Doria Ragland, was formally invited to the wedding. Meghan verbally invited Thomas Markle, the father of Samantha and Meghan, only to disinvite him shortly before the wedding. Prior to the wedding, Thomas Markle suffered 2 heart attacks and for obvious medical reasons was not able to attend. Meghan knew of his medical condition, and instead of showing grace and compassion, she effectively terminated her relationship with her father because she believed that he had attempted to gain publicity due to Meghan's engagement. Around that time, the media discovered Samantha and began contacting her for interviews. Samantha accepted a request for interviews and made glowing and positive statements about her sister, Meghan, and her upcoming wedding. During an interview, one of Samantha's statements was taken out of context and misconstrued. Samantha revealed that Meghan had not yet contacted her father, despite knowing that Thomas Markle recently suffered 2 heart attacks. Samantha's misconstrued statement was apparently the tipping point of Meghan's relationship with Samantha. After the interview with Samantha, the press released numerous stories about how Samantha bashed Meghan, when Samantha had simply expressed concern for both her father and her sister Meghan. However, once the issue was out in the public, Meghan became a relentless foe to her sister. It was after the interview of Samantha that Meghan started her smear campaign, an ongoing deluge of distorted facts and stories, complete with fake quotes about and by Samantha. Meghan harbored resentment due to what she perceived to have been Samantha's intentional statement and the follow-up by the press. She responded to the fake quotes publicly through various media outlets. Meghan has never reached out to Samantha directly to discuss these matters, nor had Meghan taken any steps to correct the lies which had been continuously spread by Samantha. Meghan knows and has known at all relevant times that her older sister Samantha suffers from muscular sclerosis, a debilitating disease exacerbated by stress. Nevertheless, She has not only made public statements vilifying and embarrassing Samantha, but she has encouraged hatred of Samantha through a bot network, which has caused great harm to Samantha. Then it goes on to factual background. They talk about the Oprah primetime show. Most of you who are following this story, remember that Harry and Meghan had an interview with Oprah, which was televised globally, and she made several statements about her sister. And some of those statements are actually what Samantha Markle is using to bring this defamation lawsuit by injurious falsehood. And also the Netflix docuseries, again, Meghan made some statements. I know Meghan included. I think the only person that was a family member was her mother, Doria Raglan, and Samantha's daughter, one of Samantha's daughter, in her Netflix docuseries. And honestly, it just looked like the daughter was being used to say, not so nice things about Samantha. And perhaps Meghan thought that was her way of confirming to the public that Samantha is actually a vile person. So Samantha has refiled the defamation lawsuit for injurious falsehood, now focusing on statements that were made in the Netflix docuseries as well as the Oprah Winfrey interview. She lost the case on statements that were made in the book Finding Freedom, which was written by British author Omid Scobie, and also he's the unofficial spokesperson for Meghan and Harry. And Meghan had provided information to Omid Scobie, which she initially denied. And some of the information in there is about Samantha, and they're not putting Samantha in a good light. So we're going to turn our attention to the next important part of this refiled defamation lawsuit. I'm not going to go through all of the stuff, but I'm going to look at the factual background, as I said earlier. In September 2020, Meghan and her husband, Prince Harry, signed a multi-year contract with Netflix for $135 million. In October 2020, Meghan and her husband, Prince Harry, started their joint media production, Archwell Productions, a self-controlled media production company. Now to the Oprah primetime show. On March 7, 2021, Meghan and Harry appeared on an Oprah Winfrey primetime special. Approximately 50 million people worldwide viewed this program. During the interview, Meghan made 4 disparaging, hurtful, and false statements, insinuating that Samantha is a stranger, a liar, and a person who was only a deceptive, fame-seeking imposter with avaricious intentions toward Meghan. To publicly refer to one's own flesh and blood as a stranger and attack the veracity of Samantha's recently written and released book was more than giving her opinion. The false statements insinuated that Samantha has concocted a fictitious story to reap some inappropriate reward from Meghan's fame. In the interview, the interviewer asked Meghan about Samantha and Samantha's book. In direct response to the question, Meghan stated, and I quote, "I think it's to be very hard to tell all when you don't know me. When you talk about betrayal comes from someone that you have a relationship with, right? I don't feel comfortable talking about people that I really don't know." Yet, Meghan's supposed discomfort did not stop her from making 3 additional false and damaging statements in the interview about Samantha. Meghan said, and I quote, I grew up as an only child, which, as everyone who grew up around me knows, and I wish I had siblings. Although taken as an isolated statement, one could misinterpret the only child statement as a statement of how Meghan felt. However, when put in context of the other statements about Samantha, this statement was a denial that Samantha played a part in her life and her upbringing. As such, the statement impugned the character of Samantha by making Samantha appear to be a liar for profit and fame. This was especially true because Samantha had written a book which expressed the truth of their relationship. The statement by Meghan set up the oft-spoken and oft-implied false accusation that Samantha is a liar who is fabricating stories about Meghan so that Samantha could become rich and famous off of Meghan's marriage to Prince Harry. Using reductive logic, Meghan then degraded their relationship to the physical form only, stating, and I quote, "The last time I saw her must have been at least 18, 19 years ago, and before that, 10 years before that." This was a false statement of fact, not an opinion, which again implied that Samantha was a liar and a fame seeker because it ignored the multitude of phone conversations Meghan and Samantha had enjoyed throughout the years. Those phone calls went both ways, and Meghan often called Samantha for sisterly advice. Those calls happened periodically throughout their pre-Prince Harry lives, as that's before Prince Harry came into Meghan's life and of course her family's life by extension. I'm continuing to read here. A follow-up question about the relationship between Samantha and Meghan, the interviewer asked, and I quote, "So you all weren't close? You didn't grow up together?" That question gave Meghan the opportunity to state in a damaging and hurtful response, "No." Again, Meghan attacked Samantha's veracity, calling into question on a world stage Samantha's own fond memories of the times spent together when they were both younger with their father, Thomas Markle, in his home where she was living at the time. The final defamatory statement Meghan made during the interview was that Samantha changed her surname back to Markle when Meghan started dating Prince Harry. That statement was false and harmful because it was not the time that Samantha began to use the name Markle. By making that false statement as to the timing that Samantha started using her maiden name, Meghan created an accusatory air of mendacity, ignoring the multitude of reasons a person like Samantha may change their name and when and why, in fact, Samantha changed her name. The statement, and I quote, "She changed her last name back to Markle only when I started dating Harry, and so I think that says enough." The interview inferred that Samantha was nefariously using Meghan's last name to cash in on her sister's fame. The statement was not true. In fact, Samantha legally changed her name back to Markle in July of 2022, 5 years after Meghan started to date Harry, and after her relationship with Meghan fell apart. Of greater significance, Samantha has used her family name, Markle, interchangeably all of life. It is of importance that rather than interpreting each word said or each false set of words, it is important to look at the whole effect of all that was said in the interview together. According to Meghan, she was betrayed by Samantha, whom Meghan claimed that she really did not know. Meghan always wanted a brother or sister, and the implication, if not the specific statement, was that Samantha was someone who Meghan did not know well enough to comment. The context of these statements by Meghan was that Samantha was falsely portraying that she was Meghan's sister, Also, that Samantha could gain wealth and fame pretending that she was Meghan's true sister. Samantha was being implied Samantha was being impliedly accused of being a charlatan. Meghan used her station and access to popular platforms to direct her hurtful, malicious, and untrue words towards tens of millions of people worldwide. None of Meghan's above statements were true, nor were they the mere opinion of an individual. They are statements used as a weapon to discredit and injure the reputation and pecuniary interests of Samantha. The statements made in the interview are injurious and defamatory and harmed and continue to harm Samantha emotionally, physically, and monetarily, and have caused hatred and threats against Samantha. Netflix documentary series. On December 8, 2022, Netflix aired the first part of a 6-part miniseries entitled Harry and Meghan on its streaming platform. The series was a joint effort between Meghan production company, Archwell Production, and Blackwell and Ruth. The series was filmed, edited, and produced for Netflix under the direction of Meghan and Prince Harry. According to CBS News, just 6 days after its release, the series had received 28 million views by December 14, 2022. The series became the most watched subscription TV show of the year. The series contains 6 episodes, and each episode has a runtime of almost 54 minutes and entails a collection of interviews with Meghan, Prince Harry, and a very select hand-picked group of their friends, family, and interested and participatory parties. During the 323 minutes of running time, the only members of Meghan's entire family that are interviewed are Meghan's mother, Doria Raglan, and Meghan's niece, Samantha's daughter, Ashley Hale. Remember, I said that earlier. I didn't even know this was included inside of the refiled complaint. I'm continuing to read again. Meghan used the series as a platform to publish, promulgate, and distribute on a worldwide level malicious, hurtful, and damaging lies, many of which were directed at Samantha. The 6-part mini docuseries mentioned Samantha either directly or indirectly in 4 of the 6 episodes. In the series, there are numerous isolated statements made about Samantha. This series was produced and edited by Archwell. As this series was produced and edited by Archwell Productions, all the statements were ultimately approved by and published by Meghan. Meghan published these statements. The series is disparaging and hurtful on its own, and the statements, when taken individually or collectively, weave a narrative of lies that Meghan hides behind in an attempt to bolster her own false rags to riches, while actually discrediting her sister, calling her a liar and fame seeker, and far worse, going so far as to publish statements which imply or state that Samantha is a racist. The defamatory statements made in the series episodes 2 to 5 are restated below. These statements are either defamatory on their own or when taken together create the implication that Samantha is a liar and an agent provocateur, the one who is fabricating stories, and a racist. The statements, Meghan said, quote unquote, I was with my mom during the week and with my dad on the weekends, and my dad lived alone. He had 2 adult children who had moved out of his house. In reality, Meghan lived with her father full-time and visited her mother on some weekends. When Meghan was in junior high school, Samantha lived on the property and was always home when Meghan came home from school. Often she drove Meghan to school or accompanied her father when her father drove. After school, Samantha and Thomas Markle would help her with her homework, and he took Meghan shopping on weekends. Meghan said, quote unquote, you're telling people you raised me? Meghan said this herself, and it is not true. Samantha never suggested that she raised Meghan. These false statements are incendiary to Meghan's fans who have harassed and threatened Samantha due to these statements published by Meghan. Meghan said, quote unquote, "I don't remember seeing her when I was a kid at my dad's house, if and when they would come around." In reality, Meghan was close to Samantha while she lived in her father's home, and there's no way that she could have forgotten it, considering that she continues to have memories of other issues at the time. Christopher Buzzi, who worked for Butt Sentinel and was retained by Meghan for the series, and in his employ by Meghan, in the course of and scope of his retention, he said, and Meghan published, quote unquote, this. So this is not your everyday trolling. It's insane, and it was done by people who were just not the typical quote unquote trolls. These are housewives. These are middle-aged Caucasian women creating just constant attacks. From go back to America to basically, why don't you die? Samantha Markle was part of the group that was putting out a lot of this disinformation. How can the half-sister of Meghan be part of a hate group? Perhaps the most troubling part of this is the number of British journalists interacting with and amplifying the hate and the lies. For the main hate accounts, their primary motive is monetizing this stuff. But the secondary accounts, it's all about hatred. It's about, race. So then there would be derogatory terms where they would use the N word on tweets. Prince Harry said this, "I think for people to really understand, when you plant a seed that is so hateful, what can grow into?" To Prince Harry's comments, alluding to the press and Samantha, Meghan said, quote unquote, "You're making people want to kill me. It's not just a tabloid. It's not just some story. You are making me scared." Christopher Buzzi added, and Meghan published, quote unquote, "Samantha had her account suspended. And then we actually sent Twitter a list because she had like 11 additional accounts. And yeah, we were baffled by this." In truth, Samantha originally had only the one original Twitter account, and she was not part of the spreading of alleged misinformation. She was, however, the victim of hacking and individuals creating imposter accounts. As a result of the hacking and imposter accounts, she was forced to make her own other accounts when trolls of Meghan literally took over her one original account. The suspension of her account, which is impliedly due to statements about Meghan, in reality was a short freeze because of Samantha's endorsement of ivermectin. Others, unknown and unbeknownst to Samantha, had created other accounts in Samantha's name. She was not suspended because of the alleged misinformation that was spread about Meghan and attributed to Samantha's name and account. The implication of the statement said in the series, produced and edited by Meghan through her own words and hand-picked interviewees, were incredibly damaging and dangerous. In this regard, the series falsely accused Samantha to be a member of a hate group, which was about race, and even used the N-word. The statements demonize Samantha. The series is a porta-vox for Meghan, used to reach millions of people, many of whom use the series to cause the formation of their negative opinion of Samantha and begin their own hate-filled smear campaigns, which actually rose to the level of death threats against Samantha. Meghan and the series intentionally and purposefully denied the truth that a relationship existed between Samantha and Meghan, going so far as to deny the existence of a relationship between Samantha and Meghan since they were younger, living in the same home under their father's roof or adjacent to it. The series undermined Samantha. It both directly stated and implied that everything Samantha was saying or had said was a lie by a stranger attempting to take an unfair and dishonest effort to capitalize on Meghan's fame, and to do so by vaulting a false narrative to the public that Samantha was Meghan's half-sister and that they were close prior to Meghan dating Prince Harry. Meghan continues to participate in and perpetuate the lies around her family and upbringing, and where Meghan could have set the record straight, she did not. Instead, Meghan continues the hurtful lies being told about her half-sister, Samantha, lies that have defamed Samantha and the negative fallout that has therefrom occurred. Number 3, harm was caused. That's the third part. Meghan pre-verifications were greatly injurious to Samantha because it caused a public reaction. Samantha lives in a small Florida city, Lakeland, where she is well known. Moreover, she is known because she is the sister of Meghan, who knows great fame, wealth, and prestige. Meghan is a celebrity with a huge fan base, which includes extremists. When Meghan repeated over and over the same false narrative of not knowing her sister and the two of them not being close, she instilled anger in her fan base against Samantha by a significant part of the population of Lakeland. Suddenly, with Meghan's lies, emotionally connected fans turned against Samantha, believing that she was an imposter who was distant from her younger sister. Samantha was made out to be a greedy and dishonest opportunist when people believed that she had no relationship with her sister and that Samantha was attempting to cash in on her sister's success and fame. All the false remarks in the Oprah Winfrey interview and Netflix series around Samantha were false, whether said directly by Meghan or others at her obeisance, stated with full knowledge that the statements she was saying were false. All the statements by Meghan were said with malice, in that she knew that they were false, and she also knew that they would cause harm to her older sister Samantha. Moreover, the publicization of the defamatory statements in this case was on a worldwide scale by a celebrity, Meghan. By virtue of Samantha's relation to her half-sister, the public took an interest in Samantha. The false and malicious statements above caused substantial, irreparable prejudice, injury, and harm to Samantha's reputation to a substantial, sizable, and appreciable part of Samantha's community, and caused her great anxiety and emotional distress. As a direct result of Meghan's false and defamatory statements, and those which were not hers, but which she published by her, Samantha received hateful emails and messages on a regular basis, and her reputation has been so damaged that she has been unable to work in her profession as a mental health counselor. The dangerousness of the false narrative can be seen in the fact that Samantha sought and obtained an injunction for protection against stalking in Polk County, Florida, against one of Meghan's overzealous fans. All predicate acts which were required to have been done, or the requirement has been waived. Number 4, the fourth important part would be count 1, defamation, and then I will wrap up with count 2, defamation and request for trial by jury. Count 1, defamation. Samantha avers the allegations in paragraphs 1 through 64 above and incorporates them by reference as though they are fully restated in this court. Utilizing her power as the Duchess of Sussex, Meghan made, published, and disseminated false statements about her half-sister Samantha with the intent to spread the statements across the globe. As a consequence of the false and defamatory allegations and statements, Samantha was subjected to an incomprehensible amount of public scrutiny. On a regular basis, Samantha receives hate messages and suffers emotionally from the worldwide hatred, contempt, and ridicule that she is forced to endure. As described above, the statements made by Meghan were false, and at the time the statements were made, Meghan had actual knowledge that these false statements were false. Just an insert here, having actual knowledge or knowing the truth and still spewing lies about someone else is a defense in this injurious falsehood case, right? Disregarding the truth and veracity of her statements, Meghan has repeatedly and continuously published false and defamatory statements regarding Samantha. To this day, Meghan continues to contact the media in order to further spread these blatant lies across the globe. So in such a case, if someone knows something is false and they say it and they discover that, hey, you know what I said was false, but they continue to recklessly make the false statement, that can make matters worse for them, so to speak, as a defendant. I'm continuing to read here. The false and defamatory statements have prejudiced, harmed, and injured Samantha's reputation, and she is exposed to hatred, ridicule, and contempt by the public daily. Moreover, because of the malicious statements, Samantha has also suffered injury to her occupation as a mental health counselor. The statements made by Meghan was the direct and proximate cause of Samantha's harm, and taken together have caused Samantha to suffer actual damage in the form of harm to occupation as well as emotional and mental distress, including anxiety and fear due to threatening and violent emails and messages she receives on a regular basis from the public, and the permanent harm caused to her reputation and credibility. Just to insert something here, again, with defamation, what the lawyer is saying here is they're trying to explain nexus, which is showing that the person's statement was directly responsible for what subsequently happened to the person, the harm or injury or damage that was caused physically, emotionally, or to their occupation. And in this case, Samantha is claiming that she lost her occupation as a mental health counselor directly because of what Meghan has been saying on the public domain. I'm continuing to read. Wherefore, the plaintiff, Samantha M. Markle, asked that this court grant a judgment for compensatory damages, punitive damages, that's damages to punish, costs, and such further and other relief as this honorable court may deem just and proper. Finally, number 5, count 2, defamation by implication. Samantha avers the allegations in paragraphs 1 through 64 above and incorporates them by reference as though they were fully restated in this court. It is not just the words Meghan used, but also how she crafted her false narrative that causes damages to Samantha, not accomplished by direct statements about Samantha alone, but also in Meghan's juxtaposition of lie and fact, and the surgically precise omission of truth that, like the spider and the fly, weaves Meghan's false narrative and injures Samantha, encapsulating the unsuspected listener in the gossamer web of fiction spun by Meghan. Meghan went to great lengths to quote-unquote silence the truth by impugning and damaging the character of Samantha because Samantha knew the truth of Meghan's past. Just want to insert something really quickly here. a lot of people believe, and I suspect that Meghan Markle is a narcissist. Some of the things that the lawyers included in this claim, it points to narcissism, twisting the truth, mixing facts and lies to make it look like the truth, smear campaigns, denying people, denying that they exist, saying, I don't know you. All those different things are examples and signs of narcissism I have covered. Whether Meghan Markle is a narcissist in a video prior to this one, you can look at the top right of your screen. You can click the link to the video that's called Does Meghan Markle Have These 9 Narcissist Traits? And I examined the 9 narcissist traits that someone needs to have to be diagnosed with having narcissistic personality disorder in accordance with the DSM-5, which is a diagnostic and statistical manual of mental disorders. I went through each one of them and I gave example in real time of things that Meghan Markle has done throughout the course of, especially since she married Prince Harry, to point to the fact that she could have each one of those narcissist traits. Going back to the reading, one can look at any of the above statements in the filing, in the complaint, from either of the interview and the series, and see how statements damage and defame Samantha's character by the juxtaposition of Meghan's lies with facts to imply Samantha is a liar, untruthful, fame seeker, racist, and only out to hurt Meghan to make an unearned and unworthy name for herself. Meghan intentionally and knowingly omitted facts. Meghan's false statements created the defamatory implication that Samantha had no relationship whatsoever with her sister, and that Samantha was creating a lucrative career selling false stories to the tabloids and television programs. Meghan engaged in such defamatory by implication conduct knowingly, intentionally, and with actual malice, fully aware that she was doing such with the plan to damage, injure, and harm Samantha's reputation and credibility. Another insert here from me. Actual malice is also one of the ingredients that lawyers use to prove that whatever someone did in terms of creating injurious falsehood, damaging someone's reputation, that whatever they did or said to damage a person's reputation was done with actual malice, meaning that they intended to cause that harm and that damage to their reputation and credibility. I'm continuing to read again. The defamatory by implication statements in fact severely damaged Samantha by prejudicing, harming, and injuring her reputation and credibility, and exposing her to hatred, ridicule, or contempt in her business, reputation, and occupation. Samantha has suffered actual damages in the form of loss of employment, lost income from sales of her autobiography, emotional and mental distress, including anxiety and fear due to the threatening and violent emails and messages she receives regularly, and harm to her reputation and credibility. Wherefore, Samantha M. Markle asks this court to enter a judgment for compensatory damages, punitive damages, costs, and for such further and other relief that this honorable court may deem just and proper. We're about to wrap up now. Thank you for your patience. If you came all the way through with me, wonderful. Lastly, in the filing, demand for trial by jury. The plaintiff, Samantha M. Markle, hereby demands a trial by jury on all issues so triable. And that brings us to the end of this amended complaint that was refiled by Samantha Markle in the civil lawsuit, defamation by injurious falsehood, Samantha Markle versus Meghan Markle. And again, lawyers are the Ticktin Law Group. So if you are a Samantha Markle fan, then we have to wait and see. You'll have to wait and see how this ends up. If it goes in her favor or it goes in, and if you are a Meghan Markle fan, then maybe you are hoping that obviously that it goes in Meghan Markle's favor. But we'll have to wait and see. Again, these, even though this is an actual copy, believed to be the true copy of the original document, they are all merely claims by Samantha. You know, a person could assert and claim anything. It's to be proven in court. And if they go to trial, then that's when, under cross-examination and explanation, we will figure out what are factual, what claims are factual. And certain things have to be proved, I think, beyond on the preponderance of the evidence that's civil, right? That is the burden of proof that's on the claimant or the petitioner, which is Samantha Markle in this case. Whether these are actual facts, I had to go back to law school there. I didn't have this thought of yet until now, and I had to kind of rely on my memory. That's why I was kind of like thinking and saying, Whether these are actual facts, though, is to be determined by the court if the lawsuit does go through with a trial by jury as requested. Both Meghan and Harry may have to take the stand to give evidence in the case. I know some of you are salivating over the prospect of the pair getting grilled under cross-examination. That would be obviously anti-Sussex's pro-Samantha Markle squads. In fact, the girl's father, Thomas Markle, told the broadcaster, I think it was a few days ago, that he's willing and ready to give evidence in the case on behalf of his daughter, Samantha Markle. I'm actually happy and thrilled to see that Mr. Markle found his voice back after suffering multiple strokes and wasn't able to speak for a long time. And obviously, based on reports, he wasn't able to make his daughter's wedding because of the strokes. Right now, it's anyone's guess how this case will turn out. I think Samantha's lawyers are making a reasonably strong case. They have put forward strong arguments, in my opinion. I'm not taking sides here. This is a court case. It's about facts and proving the facts. And Samantha Markle does have the evidence from the Netflix and the Oprah Winfrey interview, which she can use to her advantage. It all depends on what Meghan Markle's lawyers are going to say in their response to this amended and refiled complaint. And again, if it does go to trial, I guess the better team will win in terms of, what evidence they bring forward in the court. And of course, what the jury decides. The jury will decide. But we don't know what defense Meghan's lawyers will come with as of yet. They haven't, I haven't seen anything in the press that they have answered the complaint. So I'm not sure how long they have to answer the complaint, maybe a week or two. And then once that happens, once I get a hold of a copy of the document, I am going to also do a podcast on Meghan Markle's response through her lawyers. Samantha is suing for $75,000 in damages. If she wins, Meghan has to pay up the money. Samantha is suing for, if she wins count 1 and count 2, I don't know exactly if count 1 and count 2 amounts to the $75,000. And that might be just the compensatory damages, but then the punitive damages, the jury will have to decide how much, if and how much Meghan Markle should pay, or if anyone should pay in this case. What do you think? Who do you think will win the case and why? I'm always happy to hear from you in the comment section. Please subscribe if you can and come back for more of True Lies Scandals.